The opening image of Gemini is an upside-down shot of two palm trees against the blue-tinted LA dusk. This is apt foreshadowing for the relationship between two young women that is really upside down and characterizes the toxic connections that people sometimes develop in and with LA. I lived in LA for over 2 years, and while I never really scratched the surface of the celebrity world with its own laws and normalities, I was all too aware of the energy of the place, the frenetic mixture of those who had made it in the biggest way possible, mixed in with the unrealized dreams of many of those who serve them. Even if you aren't part of anything, just being in LA meant that you were one of the many vampires feeding off this limitless energy, and this was appealing but also an exhausting presence to measure up to. The film was such a mixed bag for me. On the one hand, I really like slow, dreamy, atmospheric films that have a lot of attention to formalist kind of filmmaking, and I really like movies that attempt to capture like the essence of LA. On the other hand, I don't really like movies that have big old twists at the end that render everything that I saw up until that point sort of superfluous. Things like the end of The Sixth Sense is a good example of this. Although it's exciting to have a big twist at the end of a movie for me, it sort of destroys the rewatchability of the film. Twists put too much emphasis on a single piece of the puzzle in a film and sometimes invalidate all the pieces of the puzzle that were climbing to some kind of organic conclusion thus far. But I don't want to come across as too negative about this film because overall I really enjoyed it. It had an ultraviolet color palette that I'd come to appreciate in films like Neon Demon, another sordid tale of LA involving young women and crime. Lola Kirke was amazing. I felt totally captivated by her performance in a way that I often only feel when I'm watching film actresses from old films. She had such a strong presence on the screen, and while her performances of her co-stars like Zoe Kravitz and John Cho were great, she really stole the show. Same with Aaron Katz's directing. The guy has an amazing eye for filming interior spaces. Some of these shots inside of these grand LA houses really blew me away, and he knows how to create a consistent mood and color palette for a film, and there was just a really excellent formalistic filmmaking that was, at the top of its game in that regard, so I really appreciated that. So I'm going to give this film a 79. Up until about 15 minutes before it ended, I was thinking that I was going to give it more like an 85 or an 86, but there was just this big twist at the end that kind of ruined it for me and really detached me from where I was headed, mentally with the film. With that said, it was a really beautiful movie. It was cold, very tight noir style film with great colors, some really great performances. It was really beautiful, and you could tell that Aaron Katz had a special relationship with LA too, because this was the kind of film that you would make if you wanted to take in all of the film culture about LA and then spit it out into your own creation. And that's what I really saw. This was LA being filtered through this guy's vision, and while it had a lot of pieces of other people's visions in it too, it was still a unique and enjoyable experience, and I hope I see more from him in the future as well as Lola Kirke.